Hey everybody, this is Dudek-Brannan, and today I am going to talk about the counterintuitive road to financial freedom, specifically when it comes to graduate students and people who are at the tail end of their graduate school journey and are working on a thesis or a dissertation. Now, this is something that can be a sensitive topic, and that's why I wanted to bring it up today, because it's oftentimes one of those elephants in the room, and that is the whole financial aspect. So there's this common understanding, or something that many of us are often thinking about in the back of our minds, and that is the fact that many graduate students, in order to get to the point where they have that advanced degree, they end up getting into debt. And that is because they have invested a large amount of money to be able to do their degree program. And whether that be tuition, whether that be because they decided to be a full-time student, which meant that perhaps they have gotten into some debt because they have had to live off their credit cards, whatever that may be. And it can be pretty overwhelming to have all of that hanging over your head. The problem is, and I've talked about this a lot in a lot of my presentations and my material, the problem when we're focusing solely on the debt that we have, or the money that we owe, is that a lot of us confuse the things like consumer debt and things that you would consider to be financially irresponsible, and we lump that all in together with the other debt, which is investment debt, which is something that we do in order to invest in ourselves and to be something that can potentially make us have a better life in the future and put us in a position where we can contribute to the greater good. And the problem with focusing on that is that it puts you into that scarcity mindset where you're constantly focusing on the negative. And the problem with that is that when you are in that scarcity mindset, it makes you more likely to have that feeling of anxiety. And that is a problem because when you are in the middle of your graduate program, especially when you are in the end and you're doing your dissertation or thesis, you have to be in a mindset of being able to solve problems, because problems will come up during your dissertation or thesis. I guarantee you there is not one person who has completed a dissertation or thesis that did not have some life crisis come up, or that did not have some problem happen that they were not expecting. And the difference between the people who finish and those who don't are the ones that are able to respond versus react. So if you are in that scarcity mindset, what happens is that you have a higher anxiety level, which increases your cortisol levels, which can actually impact your brain function. So when you get into that fight or flight mode, what actually happens is that the part of your brain that helps you to solve problems, which is called the frontal lobe, the part of your brain that does that is impaired, and we're less able to use those resources. So you actually put yourself in a state of impaired problem solving when you're constantly focusing on the negative. And if you're stressing out about debt, then you're more likely to be in that panic mode and in that fight or flight mode. And the problem with that is that it is more likely to keep you in the same situation. So it perpetuates the situation that you're already in, which is stressed out, in debt, and without your degree, and stuck on your thesis or dissertation. And the problem, again, with that is the more you get yourself into that endless cycle of anxiety and feeling like you're not sure what to do next, or just feeling overwhelmed in general, what happens is that You're more likely to have those times where you want to block out time to write. You know that you should be, and maybe you even are blocking out time to write, but you feel like you're not productive and you know that you're not moving at the pace that you need to. And that becomes a problem because as soon as that happens, you increase your risk of being one of those people who isn't able to finish because you aren't able to get into that state of calm, rational problem solving. Now, of course, if you do have some student debt, that is something that it is something that is understandable to be concerned about. But the interesting thing is that the less you focus on that and the more you focus on what you actually want, the less that you perpetuate that situation of being stressed out and in debt. So ultimately, the problem, if you are in debt, is to, instead of focusing on that, the solution to that problem is to actually focus on getting your degree finished faster. Now, that sounds so simple that it's almost ridiculous, but it is something that people rarely do. And here's the thing, is that often people will, because they are afraid about debt and because they are confusing that consumer debt, so debt like, buying a new pair of shoes or a TV versus investing in things like their degree or a mentor that will help them finish their degree faster, because they're confusing those things, it makes it even more stressful to them. But there is a difference between those two things. And the thing is that the ultimate solution for getting yourself into a situation where you have that true financial freedom, where you are able to get into a job that is paying you more, or that you're in a situation where you have more time to work on outside endeavors, you actually put yourself in a position to where you can pay off that debt faster. So let me give you a couple examples of what I mean. So yes, there is a cost to continue your education. The longer you drag this out, obviously, the more that you have to pay for tuition. Now, there is a range of what the fees end up being. It can be, some people are still being funded and they're not actually paying that much for tuition. It can be as low as $500 a semester that they are dragging this out. It can be as high as $5,000. So the amount of money that you're having to continue to pay to continue your degree varies. But the bottom line, it's not just about what you're actually paying in tuition to continue. It's also about the opportunities that you are missing by not having your degree. So first of all, there is the missed opportunity cost of what you are not making because you don't have the degree yet. And a lot of people, the problem is, and I talk to a lot of different graduate students, I'll ask them, okay, what is the difference in what you could be making now, or what you're making now, and what you could be making if you were to graduate sooner? And some of them know, and the thing is that some of them don't know. Or they'll say, well, you know what, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not going to actually be making more money after my degree. And that may or may not be true for them. And the thing is that if they respond like that, there are a couple things I know. Number one, that they possibly are so overwhelmed that they haven't even thought about that next step yet, that they are just totally in the weeds thinking about, how am I going to get this finished and how am I going to stay afloat the next month, that they're not even thinking about that next step yet. Number two, maybe they're not aware of how they can actually leverage their degree to make more income and have more impact after graduation. So if they're at that pace, or if they're at that type of mindset, I know that what might be happening is that oftentimes you're so overwhelmed that you might not even see some of the opportunities that are possible for you once you actually get that degree. Now, it's not just about what you'll be making right after graduation. It's the potential for the rest of your career. So, for example, sometimes when you get that degree, there is potential for you to get into a position that could pay you when you're comparing a master's degree to a bachelor's degree, and when you're comparing a doctoral degree to a master's degree. Oftentimes there can be a missed opportunity cost if you drag that degree out. It can be anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 per year. And the thing is that you might not be making that right away, but when you get that position after you get your degree, you are now in a situation where you can move up the ladder, where that is not even a possibility for you if you don't finish the degree. And there's no telling how quickly you're going to be able to move up that ladder. But the thing is that you never know until you actually get to that point. I mean, how do you know that you won't have an opportunity that comes across your path right away when you graduate? The thing is that if you are still stuck and if you are still working on that dissertation and you haven't even graduated yet, then you won't even know about those opportunities. There could be an opportunity waiting for you next semester, and that could go to somebody else when it could have been your dream job. So it's a matter of letting dream job after dream job pass you by every semester that you drag this out. And that could be if, let's say that you make an extra 20 grand the first year and you've dragged this out for an extra 3 years, that's $60,000. And you never know, you could have been making even more than that because you could have found another opportunity once you got into that other position. Now, I know some people will say to me, okay, that's great. I know I'm not going to be making that much more once I actually get my degree. Maybe they're in the position that they want to be already, and they just need to finish their degree because they can keep the position that they're in. Or maybe there was some type of contingency where they are able to get their position even though they don't have the degree yet. But here's the thing. Even if your position is not going to change, think about the mental energy that you are spending thinking about the fact that that degree is not finished, and think about what you might be able to do at that time. Chances are there are other projects that you could be working on that could be potentially income generating activities. Even if your actual salary at your current job or the job that you get right after graduation, even if that isn't significantly more than you're making now, you have that extra mental energy, which is priceless. So that could be spent with income generating activities, with business ventures on the side, with writing a book. That could be spent even just having extra time for yourself or with your family. And you're missing out on all of those the longer that you drag this out. So, well, the topic of this talk is really about the road to financial freedom, the crazy thing and why it's counterintuitive. The actual solution is to do everything that you need to do in order to finish as soon as possible and figure out a way to invest in what you need to do to finish now, this year, rather than dragging it out for another 3, 5, whatever years. So what successful people end up doing is figuring out a way to graduate as soon as possible. And the thing is that what they end up having to do, what many people have to do, is actually investing in some additional mentoring and coaching, which is what I had to do in order to get myself into that cognitive state where I was able to work so that I was able to finish my dissertation on the first try. Because I can guarantee you, if I was not able to do that, I don't think I would have passed on that first time. And the more I would have dragged it out, there would have been a significant risk of me not finishing at all. And I would not be talking about this right now to you. today. Making that investment in mentoring to take the guesswork out of it, in finishing faster rather than dragging it out and missing out on all of those opportunities actually pays off in the long run. The best clients that I work with end up realizing this because they want to finish their degree sooner rather than later so that they can reap the benefits of this degree so that they can start to do fulfilling work they love, have a massive impact, and really find that joy that maybe has been lost along the way since they've been frustrated. They want to bring that joy back into the work that was there when they started their degree program. So if you are struggling and you're sick of having all of those student loans and not being able to pay them off and not having that financial freedom that you want, and you want to put yourself in a situation where you can leverage your degree to increase your income potential and just increase the time that you have to spend on those additional ventures that can leverage your career and push you forward, then I would love to talk with you. So if you are stuck at any point in your dissertation or thesis, I would love to hop on a call with you. So how this works is that we will hop on a 45-minute call approximately, and we will take a deep dive into your situation and figure out exactly what's not working and what steps you would need to take in order to finish your dissertation quickly and do an amazing job and bring that joy back into the process. So the rest of your time in graduate school can be a fulfilling experience, and you can go on to do amazing work that fulfills you and helps you to achieve your full potential. So all you would need to do to hop on a call with me is go to meetme.so/Karen Dudek-Brannan. And there is a hyphen between Dudek-Brannan. And I will also post that link below this video so that you can click on that link. So all you'll need to do is click on that link. It'll take you to a scheduling page where you can pick a time that will work for you. And then you'll just be taken to an application page where you can share some additional information that will help me to better serve you on the call. So I would love to talk with you if you are at any stage of the dissertation process, whether it be you are in your proposal stage or whether you are struggling to write up your results. I would love to talk with you and help you through that.